Hey everyone, for my analysis of a printed document, I chose to pick Slam magazine, the front cover of it. I get this magazine every month. I enjoy it just because it focuses a lot on the NBA and basketball, two things that are really interest me. The audience obviously would be anybody that is into NBA basketball in general. Probably ties more to that instead of anything else. I know it does go into some college basketball and then some high school basketball around the country, but for the most part, it is kind of tied to the audience of NBA basketball. Um, Starting out, what is good about the design of this? I'm always a big fan of all the color. That is probably the one main thing that they really focus on. It always ties to the general player or players that are on the front of the cover. This one is for December, and this features LeBron James in his Cleveland Cavaliers jersey, and it's the colors of a bright yellow and kind of a maroonish red. So I think they really did hit it right on the head with the black and the red, and then Slam being outlined in red. That kind of gives it that kind of popping feel to it. That's one of the things that I like about this magazine, especially this cover in general. That's probably the one thing that they did really good with the design is kind of gathering your interest with kind of the popping design that it has with the color, and then it has the rulers back, referring to LeBron James, and they kind of use a really kind of neutral typography or font for that. I mean, it kind of was smart on their part because they didn't want to go too far with the kind of like the font that they were looking for. Um, what could be improved? To be honest, probably not have the picture of the player that big. It kind of takes over a lot of the magazine. I mean, it's basically half of the cover of the magazine is of the player. They don't usually do that much, so this one's kind of different. Most of the time with other ones, it features like two or three players and then they make them smaller. They haven't done just one single player in a while. So probably maybe instead of just showing LeBron James as almost taking up half the cover, maybe kind of have it as something else, maybe incorporate him maybe in the action of playing the game of basketball instead of just kind of sitting there, just sitting in the middle of the magazine, just kind of taking up half of the space. Yeah, that would be the suggested changes and rationale for the changes. Just kind of minimizing the size of the player on the front of the magazine. Did the designer meet the needs of the audience? I believe for sure. I mean, it's focusing on LeBron James, and the article inside the magazine goes into depth of how he's returning back to the Cleveland Cavaliers, the expectations of the season. So it kind of gives audiences of NBA basketball kind of like something to really look forward to, and it's actually a really good read. So, I mean, anybody that's a fan of NBA basketball, if they're walking by, let's say like in Walmart, a bookstore, a pharmacy, and you see that kind of sitting there, it's really going to grab your eyes because it does have the greatest number one player in the NBA right now. And then it has just like the eye-popping kind of aesthetic appeal to it with the colors and then the big words that kind of pop out saying the ruler's back. So the designer, yeah, I would absolutely say meets the needs of the audience. I mean, it gives you that kind of like feel that you really want to read it just because it has such a good design showing like the good colors and the typography of on the front of the magazine. For the four design principles, contrast, yeah, I would say that's pretty good for this one. It doesn't really go overboard with a lot of colors or anything like that. For repetition, as you can see on the right side of the magazine, it lists Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, Anthony Davis, and it goes down. Um, they usually do that, kind of list some of the players that they may be talking about in the magazine. That would be one part of the repetition. And then repetition for every magazine, they'll always have slam. And for the most part, it'll be outlined in one color. And then the inside of um, SLAM is usually the same color um, as the back of the magazine. For alignment, you can see it kind of everything's all kind of aligned on top. The words NBA preview, can San Antonio do it again, and slam. Um, Usually Slam does this pretty well with alignment. They usually keep the two kind of sentences, or the one sentence at the top, and then they'll have slam, and those will be basically like kind of right in a line, and then they'll usually say one little phrase in the middle of the magazine to kind of like the left side, saying like what's the magazine about and who is it focusing on. Um, and then proximity, I would say that's pretty well. Um, it kind of fits everything together on the magazine. It's using different colors, and I would say, yeah, pretty much for proximity, everything's kind of spaced out and it's not too jumbled together on the front of the magazine. Um, so that's my analysis of a printed document. Again, I this magazine I read, I get it every month. It basically ties the audience of basketball and NBA watchers, people who like NBA and like to read about it. If you have any questions or have any feedback, let me know. Thank you.